Hey guys, welcome back to Just for Fun. It's Matt here on a lovely Tuesday afternoon in New Jersey. God, beard's getting unruly, huh? Have to trim that fucker. So, we're playing in Modern. Today we're going to be playing in the tournament room. So, before anybody talks shit, we're playing in the tournament room, okay? So, odds are I'll probably fuck it up, but I'll do my best. We're playing in the tournament room because we're playing Dredge. Basically, after the banning of Grave Troll, a lot of graveyard hate went away. But Dredge is almost as good as it was. It's not terribly far off if we just replace the Grave Trolls with Golgari Thugs. Sure, we're dredging a little less, but Cathartic Reunion really turbocharges the deck and lets you dredge really super fast. Like if you happen to hit Stinkweed him, that's 15. That's a lot of dredge. So basically, if you live under a rock and you haven't seen this deck before, what you're doing is you're using the dredge mechanic to put cards from your library into your graveyard, thus allowing you to see more cards, basically. And a lot of your cards have graveyard interaction. Basically, the most important card here is Narcomoeba. Once this hits your graveyard, it triggers, it comes into play on its own, which triggers Prized Amalgam. Bloodghast, by playing a land, does the same thing, but you're not terribly often playing more than like 3 or 4 lands out in this deck. So it's a little weird to get used to that too. Loam is a way to dredge, and it's also a way to refill your hand for Conflagrate, which is, one of the ways to sort of like wrath your opponent's board if you're playing against a small creature deck, or get in those last few points of damage you need to close the game out. Haunted Dead is another way to recur some value, and it's basically you're just getting out little dorky creatures and beating your opponent with them here and there. So I've tweaked the deck a little bit from the version I saw in the video. The lands are a little different, and I cut one Conflagrate for one Rally the Peasants, just because, like I said, most of the time you just have a bunch of dorks on the table and you're looking to finish the game out, and Rally is a good way to kind of win out of nowhere, do a lot of damage in a hit. And sometimes that's just the best way to win, is to just end the game right away. So we've got 3 Golgari Thugs, 4 Stinkweed Imps, 4 Life from the Loams, and 2 Dakmore Salvage. So we have 13 dredge cards, which is probably like the bare minimum. We've got 4 Lootings, 4 Reunions, and 4 Neonates as ways to get things started to sort of turbo our dredge. We've got this engine to get creatures back, and these are just some spicy cards, to finish the game out. So that's basically how the deck works. It's really, I would call this on a scale of 1 to 10, this is probably a 7 or 8 in terms of hard to play. Like, this is one that takes a lot of practice, right? It might seem simple at first, but there's a million little nuances in the sequencing, which card to dredge, when to dredge, and when to draw. When it's like, okay, I can dredge and fill my yard, but I won't hit my land drop, so what should I do? Right? Or like what you need to play around. It's kind of hard when to suicide attack your creatures so you can get them back. I mean, there's a lot of tricky stuff there. So sideboard, I just tossed the 3rd Conflagrate in there in case it's a good matchup for that. Collective Brutality and Ancient Grudge, probably good against Affinity. You have a really good matchup against Affinity, actually, to be honest. Some things are harder to beat than others, right? Obviously, Abrupt Decay is there for Rest in Peace, so is Thoughtseize. like all, counter the hate cards with hate cards, but these don't necessarily always work. So Ray of Revelation is a way to like dredge and get it, because it's much easier to hit something in your graveyard than something from your hand. Note of the Bone for burn, Dark Blast against little shitty creature deck. So you got a little bit of tools in there, but it's hard. You really don't have that much room. Like, these are kind of your optional cards. Those 3 slots maybe are what I would futz with the most, because you really don't want to cut more than like one more of those. And, maybe this pile you can do some cuts if you need to. So that's the deck. I'm sure you've seen it before. I hope you have. I'm gonna play in, like I said, in the tournament room, because I think this is pretty unfair for just for fun room, and hopefully we'll win at least 1 out of our 3 matches. We'll see how we do. All right.